All right, well, Natascha, today we're back for our shift series. We're excited. Today we're going to talk about do more with less, shift book tactic number 3.
Fantastic, Brett. How are you?
Doing awesome. So hit me, do more with less. Really what we're talking about today is leverage, right? So the word leverage is one of the 3 L's we talk about in leads, listings, and leverage. Yet, peel the onion back. What are we really talking about here?
Right. So when we talk about leverage, right, there's 3 things we can talk about. It's people's, system, or technology. For the purpose of today, I really want to talk a little bit about the people, because when we talk about do more with less and shift, we are really talking about gathering together all of the people that you do business with, whether that's people on your physical sales team, or maybe you're a single agent and it's your vendors and your affiliated business partners. But it's really getting down and talking about it's all hands on deck. It's time to roll up our sleeves and get to the purpose that we're here to do business with and be together kind of making that happen.
Absolutely. You know, Gary dives in on page 38 in the shift book, and he really kind of brings things into focus with 4 questions. The 4 questions are, what are my business priorities? When do they need to get done? Who is the best person to do them? And how should they be done? And it's really quite simple. It's a focus moment that says what, when, who, and how, right? And when you're thinking about leverage, sometimes you got to step out of the day-to-day to really see what you could leverage inside of your business, because you're caught so far into the business, you can't get that clarity, right? The 6 core competencies of a business, the basics, right? We talk about the basics here. Well, the first one's to lead generate, lead capture, and convert to appointments. The second one is to present to buyers and sellers and actually get agreements. The third one is to actually show buyers and market seller listings. 4th is to write and negotiate contracts. 5th is to coordinate the sale of a closing. And 6th is to manage the money. And really, the whole point of this is when you're looking at leverage, you got to get crystal clear back on the basics of the business. Tell me more what you think when we talk about the basics.
I love that, Brett, because I think if our agents kept those 6 items in front of them and really focused on that, there's 190 tasks as an agent we could do. There's a lot of things. And as real estate professionals, we get busy with minutia. This is not the time for that. It's to focus on these 6 core competencies for which we ultimately get paid. So that's what we've got to drill down. And I love having that so clearly defined and just kind of having that in front of us and the people that we're in business with.
Yeah. Well, and the whole point is to have it clearly defined so you can really see clearly where the leverage can be put into place, right? And that's really where we're going with all this.
And it's taking the time out of your day-to-day from working in your business to working on your business. This is a time where you need to take a pause for a moment, work on your business, and get very clear. Taking that time gives you clarity. And clarity is what you need right now to get to where you want to go.
Perfect. There's a quote on page 40 that says, good times can obscure and even camouflage who isn't really working out or even actually working at all.
I think we've just experienced that in the market, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a high tide floats all boats. We've seen it. You didn't really need anything other than to have a physical real estate license in the market we've been coming through. And that's starting to change as things change. And I just love that we're all together doing this, because it's time to sharpen our skills. We're going into a skill-based market. And this 100%. Is to separate the professionals from the non.
And absolutely. And I love that you made mention of a skills-based market, and it really makes us be professionals in an industry that sometimes gets diluted with amateurs. And this is an opportunity. And we talked about how shift is really an opportunity. It's actually an opportunity to show up and be a professional. And that's exciting.
It truly is.
So there's a mindset around this that says, think assistance first and assistant second. Really, where are the points in your business that you don't necessarily need to go hire somebody for, but you need assistance to get the task accomplished? And how do we get that assistance in your life first? before you go take on a fixed expense of a person around an assistant, right? How do you think about it?
So I think about, when I hear you say that, what I think about is something that probably didn't exist when this book was written, or it wasn't really common in our industry. It probably existed, just wasn't, full practice here. And that's the use of a virtual assistant, a VA. And I think right now is a great time to look at some of the pieces that can be leveraged to a VA, as opposed to taking on that full, fixed expense as things are starting to change.
Sure. And at a fraction of a cost, right?
Significantly less expensive, and can do the parts of your business that you need to leverage off, so that you can really hyper focus on those 6 core competencies.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is think assistants first, really think virtual second, and then assistant third.
Right.
There's really an in-between now, right?
There is an in-between.
I love it. So all hands on deck sounds like a nautical term. However, in times of shift, or when the business gets a little more challenging than it's been in the past, we really need everybody to be all hands on deck. How do you think about it?
I think about it as everybody pulling their weight and then some. So it's not, my job versus your role, or my role versus your role. It's we've got to get it done. So whatever it takes, it has to get done, which might mean, I remember during the prior shift, Gary Keller speaking from stage and saying, this is the time you need to take your sleeping bags to work, kiss your family goodbye, and let them know that you'll see them in a few months. And I took that serious, went out and really did whatever it took to make it happen. And that's when I hear that, and it's all hands on deck, that's what I hear.
Yeah. I think in great economic times, you could surround yourselves with a bunch of 7s and succeed at a high level. However, in a shifting economic time, you need everybody showing up as an 11 on a 10 scale. And to me, that's kind of the visual, or the numeric all hands on deck analogy is, I need everything you got right now. And if you're not willing to be everything you got, we need to go find some people that will, because it's necessary for us all to succeed. And the interesting thing is, there's this concept of teams versus groups. Teams show up as all hands on deck. Groups, or we could use the term globs, they're a little fractured, right? What do you see out there?
Yeah, so the same thing, Brett. I see a team that works together, rows in the same direction, moves in the same direction. They can absolutely dominate their business in a shifted economic environment, where a glob of people, and in that sense, not a group in the terms of KW, but specifically in a glob of people, a bunch of people put together. If you're not moving in a synchronized way for a one purpose and a one goal, those are the ones we see fall apart.
Yeah, and I would use the analogy of professional sports. We've seen it time and time again. Good teams win the championship, where groups of highly talented athletes sometimes fall short because they're not all playing together like a team. And I'd take the highly all hands on deck team in our industry every day to the championship.
Absolutely. All day, every day.
Perfect. Well, our 3 questions this week we want you to discuss. Question number 1 is, what is the one thing you could change immediately that would improve your personal productivity?
Question number 2, what are the differences between cul-de-sac talent and capacity talent, and how can you spot it?
Awesome. Number 3, what are some of your systems that need to be simplified in order to make you more efficient? Perfect. So do more with less, leverage, be a team, be a professional, go make it happen.
See you next week.